Well, I'm delighted to be here. One of the most important things that I can remember about Chris, when I first got to know him, was for the first 9 years that I was a member of the Socialist Review Group and the International Socialists, I couldn't understand a lot of what people were saying in meetings. There were words that I knew, but I didn't understand how they were using them. And Chris really tried to make us stop using jargon, write and speak everything as clearly as we could. And he was responsible for producing a style book for Socialist Worker that his contribution to was telling journalists how they should write for the paper, how they should write really, really clearly and not use jargon. And for some reason that I never understood, we had to put capital letters for God, the Tsar and the Kaiser. We managed to win that. I think we now put God with a small g. Chris's handwriting was really, really awful, almost unreadable. And he brought me an article one day and asked me to type it out. And I said, well, yes, I'll type it out for you if you like, Chris, but you're a perfectly good typist. He said, I can't read it. He said, you're the only other person I know who can read my handwriting. There are lots of things that stand out in my memories of Chris, and one of the most important is an A4 pamphlet called Is a Machine After Your Job, which discusses how the new technology is used by employers to worsen conditions for workers and to make them more productive. And he explains how they could be used. It could be used to make things better for workers and give them more leisure time and everything like that. And that is now available on the internet, you'll all be delighted to know. In 1984, he wrote an article in IS Journal, the International Socialism, about women's liberation. And this was very important because there had been an argument about women's liberation, feminism, whether men benefit from women's oppression, inside and outside the Socialist Workers' Party for some years. And this article, I think, was a really wonderful political summing up of all the arguments, and certainly persuaded me that I had been arguing on the wrong side of the debate for some time. But for me, his most important publication was The Lost Revolution, about Germany in 1918 to 1923, which explains why it was so important for the revolution to be spread outside Russia, why it would have been so important for there to be an effective, successful revolution in Germany, and why it was so disastrous to the spreading of the revolution that in the end it was lost, and thus isolating the Soviet Union even more than it had been. And Chris got me to read through the manuscript. He said he wanted to make sure that he'd got all the German spellings and everything right, so I read it. And when I read it, I said to him, I thought it was really good, but I thought it would be a good idea if he made up his mind whether he wanted to call this area of Germany Brunswick or Braunschweig. And his face went very red, and it turned out that Braunschweig is the German for what in English is Brunswick. Chris thought there were two separate places. He said to me one day, I'm doing a talk about the Lost Revolution. I want to take you to the college where I'm doing this. I really want to know what you think of it. I'm going to drive you there in my car. He looked at me and said, don't you want to come? I said, no, not really. He said, why not? I said, you're such a bad speaker. And I could see journalists going, how dare she say that? He said, I've improved no end. Ask anyone. He drove me there. It was a hot day. It was in a big room. Chris's voice was really smooth and mellifluous, and within 5 minutes I had fallen asleep. In the car on the way back to Socialist Worker, he said, well, what did you think of it? read. I thought, if I say it was really brilliant, I know Chris, he'll want to know every detail of what was brilliant about it. So I had to tell him that I had fallen asleep. He was very angry and upset, so I gave him the afternoon off, I joined him on, but he never held it against me. And I'm glad to say, and it is a brilliant book. If anyone hasn't read it, they should. When my younger son had a very bad accident and was in hospital in Cambridge, after about 6 months I hadn't been back to work. I noticed that there are a lot of ghastly mistakes were creeping into social spirit. So I rang Chris and I said, "Is the paper being proofread?" And he said, "Well, no, not at the moment." And I said, "Would you like me to come in?" He was very sensitively arranged my shifts so that I could travel backwards and forwards from London to Cambridge and do the proofreading when it was needed and then go back to his son in Cambridge. So he was a very fantastically good friend. And I'd just like to finish by saying how, I think not only is it very sad that he died, but we are lucky he's left us this wonderful legacy. And I took my copy of A People's History of the World to Chris and I asked him to sign it. And he stood there for about 10 minutes, pursing his lips and wrinkling his eyebrows and everything like that. And then he gave it back to me and it says in it, "To Mary from Chris Harman."